Well, good morning everybody. Today we are continuing topic 4, systems of equations. Last time we have learned how to solve systems of equations by graphing, and graphing is not always the most efficient method to attack the problems. So today we're going to learn another strategy called substitution. And this is a strategy that you could actually perform systems of equations, how to solve it without graphing it every single time. And it would also help you much better to solve system when it comes to decimals, fractions, like that, when things are not whole numbers, positive or negative whole numbers. Okay, so before I do that, let's do some reviews on some stuff that you need to know before we solving systems of equations by substitution. So the first thing that you have to remember is how to solve multi-step linear equations. So here we have an equation that says 4 multiplied by the quantity of 2x plus 1 minus 6x is equal to 10. And to do this problem, the very first step is to distribute the 4 into the 2x and the 1. So 4 times 2x is 8x. And then 4 times positive 1 is 4. And then you just bring everything down and set it equal to 10. Then after that, you're going to combine some like terms. I see that out of the 3 terms on the left of the equation, 8x and negative 6x are like terms. So 8 minus 6 is 2. So 2x plus 4 is equal to 10. And then from there, to solve this equation, you're going to subtract the constant 4 on both sides to isolate the variable 2x. So that cross out, that becomes 2x is equal to 6. And then at the end, since 2 times something is equal to 6, you divide both sides by 2, and you'll get x is equal to 3. And remember, to check that whether your answer is correct or not, quickly plug in 3 into the equation. So to check it very quickly, we're going to plug it in. So 4, and then 2 times 3 plus 1, and then minus 6 times 3, does it really equal to 10? So we're going to check that very quickly. So order of operations tells us to simplify everything inside of parentheses first. In the parentheses, I see that there is a multiplication and an addition. So we're going to perform a multiplications first. So 2 times 3 is 6. So 4 times 6 plus 1 minus 18, because 6 times 3 is 18, is equal to 10. Well, 6 plus 1 is 7. So 4 times 7 minus 18 is equal to 10. 4 times 7, it is 28, so you perform the multiplications first before the subtraction. So 28 minus 18 is equal to 10. And 28 minus 18 does equal to 10, so 10 equals 10. So since the left equals to the right side of the equation, you know that x equals 3 is your correct answer. Well, on the second problem, we're going to go over something called equation with variables on both sides, where you're going to see letters on the left and the right of the equation. Well, here we have the equation 7x plus 9 is equal to 9x plus 10. And whenever you have x's on both sides of the equations, you're going to, the best strategy is to subtract the smaller x's. So between 7x and 9x, you're going to get rid of the 7x by subtracting 7x on both sides like this. So that way the 7x cancel, and then you're left with 9 on the left of the equation. And on the right side, you have 9x minus 7x, which is 2x plus 10 like this. Okay. And then from there, well, since you have 9 and 10, right, you have a constant. You want to isolate the constant that is next to the variable. In this case is positive 10, so the opposite of positive 10 is minus 10. So you cross it out, the 10 and negative 10, and then on the left side, 9 minus 10 is negative 1. So negative 1 is equal to 2x. And at the end, you divide both sides by 2. Now you notice that 1 cannot divide by 2 evenly because, if you have $1, you want to split it, it's not going to be enough, but each person is going to have a portion of $1. So negative 1 divided by 2 is going to be a decimal, but we're going to leave it as a fraction. So it's going to be negative 1/2 is equal to x. And then that's the answer to this equation. Once you know how to solve these two types of equations, you will be able to perform systems of equations by substitution, which is today's lesson. Well, in this lesson, we're going to do 4 examples of systems of equations by substitution. So first of all, what is substitution? Well, the word substitution in language art means replace one thing with another thing. So instead of writing the original thing, we're going to replace the original thing with some new things that is equal to the original thing. Well, what does that mean? Let's take a look at example 1. It says, well, here we have a system. They're both in slope-intercept form. The first one is y is equal to 4x plus 2, and then the other one is y is equal to 2x minus 3. Now, of course, you could graph them just like, the previous lesson you graphed them, but it might be a little bit too tedious to actually graph both of them. So we're going to strategize a method So you notice that both equations are equal to y, and so you have y is equal to this expression and y is equal to this expression. Well, guess what? Since they're both equals to y, don't you agree that both of them are pretty much the same expressions? I mean, if this is the same as y and it's the same as y, aren't these two the same thing? So that means you're going to set these two equal to each other. So on the left side, you have 4x plus 2. And then on the right side, you have 2x minus 3 like this. Because guess what? If they both equal to the same letter, aren't they equal to each other? So that means you're going to set them equal to each other like this. And then from there, you solve the equation. So again, since you have 4x on the left and 2x on the right, you're going to subtract the smaller coefficient, which is 2x like this. So 4x minus 2x is 2x. You bring down the plus 2. And then 2x minus 2x is gone, so you cross them out, and you're left with negative 3, like this. Since now you have 2x plus 2 is equal to negative 3, well, you're going to isolate the x by subtracting 2 on both sides, okay? So you have 2x is equal to negative 5. And then at the end, you divide both sides by 2. And then now, 5 cannot divide by 2 evenly, but we're going to keep it as a fraction. So if x is equal to negative 5/2, like this. Well, you have a fraction, a negative fraction, but that is okay. Now, we're going to kind of just lightly box this answer for now, because that's one of the answers that we have. We found x, but we still have to find y. Well, to find y, you're going to substitute, well, you have two equations to choose from to substitute this number into one of the equations. Well, let's check. So out of the two equations here, I would choose this one because, you know, the numbers are a little bit smaller. 2 is less than 4, so I would assume it's easy to work with. So what you do is you're going to rewrite this equation. You have y is equal to 2 multiplied by negative 5/2 minus 3. Now, if you need to multiply, if you need help on multiplying fractions, the app Desmos should be able to help you. So I am going to open the Desmos app. So on the Desmos app, all I have to do is to plug in the numbers. So you're going to put 2 here and then multiply by negative 5/2 like this. And then you do minus 3. And then you get negative 8, right? Now, of course, if you want to show work, right? So 2 times negative 5/2 is negative 5 minus 3. So y is negative 8. So you found the value of x and the value of y, and you're going to write your answer as an order pair, which is going to be negative 5/2 comma negative 8. When you write your answer, you always need parentheses around the answer because that represents the order pair, not just two random numbers, so you need a parentheses. Now, how do you check this answer is correct? Well, you can't really check it with this equation because you already used it. So what you do is you're going to use first equation, plug in x with negative 5/2 and plug in y with negative 8 and see if it's equal to each other left and right. So to check that very quickly, we're gonna, just do checking. Okay, so you're going to replace the y with negative 8. And you're going to replace the x with negative 5/2, and then you bring down the plus 2. You want to see whether this right side equals to the left side. Now, again, it's a fraction, so I would actually just use a calculator. So I'm going to put 4 times negative 5/2, and then after that, you plus 2, and see if the calculator would give you negative 8, which it did right here. So you know that, the left side is negative 8, the right side is negative 8, it checks out. So therefore, this is your correct answer. This will be a strategy that you will use to check your answers whether it's correct on the quizzes and tests in the future, not only for this class, but for your future classes. Well, let's take a look at another example, example 2. Now, not every single time I'll give you two equations that are in slope-intercept form. So one of them could be in slope-intercept form, and then the other one is in standard form. So what do? Now, the first equation here, y equals 5x minus 11. This is a slope-intercept form, and then 2x plus 3y is equal to 18. That is in the standard form because x and y are together in one side of the equations. So this is very easy. Whenever you have a one standard form and one slope-intercept, what you do is you're going to rewrite the slope-intercept, right? And you're going to, switch one of the letters into the other letter. Now, I want you to take a look at the first equation again. It says y, the letter y, is equivalent to the expressions 5x minus 11. So on the second equation, you're going to rewrite everything. But when you see a y, you stop and you don't write the y. You replace it with something else and then set it equal to 18. So instead of y, what should you write instead? Well, you're going to write this expression 5x minus 11 like this. So look at this. Isn't this an equation that you could solve because everything is in one letter, everything is in x? Yes, and you have been doing that since topic 1. So what you do is, now that you substitute already, you're going to distribute the 3 into the 5x and the minus 11. So 2x plus 15x minus 33 is equal to 18. And then on the left side, you're going to combine some like terms. I see that 2x and positive 15x are like terms, so you combine them, and you get 17x minus 33 is equal to 18. Well, to solve this two-step equations, I add 33 on both sides, like this. Okay. And then you get 17x is equal to 18 plus 33 is 51. And then at the end, you divide both sides by 17. And you may need to use a calculator to find out what is 51 divided by 17. And the answer will be 3 right there. So that means x is equal to 3. Well, you found one of the two answers. You found x. Well, how do you find y? Well, if I were you, I would choose the easiest equation to work with. So out of the two equations, the first one seems to be easiest because the y is isolated. So you're going to, rewrite the first equation. You're going to put y is equal to 5, and then instead of x, you replace the answer that you got, 5 times 3 minus 11, and then use order of operations. So 5 times 3 is 15. 15 minus 11 is y equals 4. So that means your final answer, these two combined together, will be 3, 4. And then that's the answer to the systems of equations. Well, to check whether your answer is correct, simply plug it back into the second equation or the first equation. Now you notice I already plugged in the first equation, so there's no point for me to redo it again, but to plug into the second equation. So to check that, very easy. All you have to do is plug in the second equation. So 2 times something plus 3 times something, and see if it's equal to 18. So for the x, I replace it with 3. For the y, we replace it with 4. So you have 6 plus 12 is equal to 18, and 18 does equal to 18. So everything checks out. Well, in example 2b, we're going to do something very, very similar. Well, you notice that one of them, again, is in standard form. The other one is in slope-intercept form, y equals 5x. So we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to rewrite the standard form into an equation of one variable instead of two variable x and y. Now, it says that y, the letter y, is same as the expression's 5x. So when you rewrite the first equation, instead of writing a y, you write something else. And so you don't write the y, but you write it with 5x like this. And here there's nothing to distribute, you just have to multiply. What's 2 times 5x? So 2 times 5x is 10x. So 9x minus 10x is equal to negative 1. Well, these two are like terms, so 9 minus 10 is negative 1x is equal to negative 1. And then when you divide both sides by negative 1, negative divided by negative is positive, so x is equal to 1. And again, you found one of the two answers. To find the other answer, you simply pick the easiest equation, I would say the shortest one, which is the second one, and then you replace x with 1 and see what y equals to. So y is equal to 5 times 1, because that's the answer you found, and then 5 times 1 is just 5. So that means when you write your two answers, it's going to be in an order pair 1, 5 like this. Okay, and again, to simply check whether it's correct, you plug in x with 1, that's a 9 right there, and then 2 times 5 is 10, so 9 minus 10, you do get negative 1, and everything checks out. Now, the last example I want to show you is example 3. Again, one of them is in slope-intercept form. It looks like slope-intercept form, but the y and x kind of got swapped. So what are we going to do? It is the same thing. We'll talk about later. Now, the other one is also in slope-intercept form because you notice that on the first equation, the x and y are together in one side of the equation. So the standard form doesn't change, but the slope-intercept form kind of have these two letters reversed. So what do? Well, you just have to do it the exact same way. So first of all, you're going to rewrite the standard form. So, but instead of writing an x, you're going to replace the x, substitute the x into the expressions, with the expressions 2y minus 1. So if you see an x, you don't write x, you write this instead. So when you rewrite the first equation, you write 3, and then you don't write x. You write something else, plus 2y is equal to 13. So instead of writing an x, you write this expression, 2y minus 1. Now, you have an equations in terms of y variables, and that's totally fine. You know, we don't have to use x all the time, but the way that you solve it is the same way. So you first distribute, and you get 6y minus 3 plus 2y is equal to 13. Then on the left side, see that 6y and 2y are like terms, so you combine them and you get 8y minus 3 is equal to 13. Okay, and then to isolate the variable, I add 3 on both sides like this. So the negative 3 and positive 3 cancel. You're left with 8y is equal to 16. Well, good thing is in this class, a lot of the time, the y and x should be whole numbers. So at the end, if you don't get whole numbers or any nice fractions like 1/2, 1/3, then something's wrong, okay? So here I divide both sides by 8 and you get y is equal to 2. Again, this is a very nice number. Now, if you get some funky fraction like 17 over 51 or 13 over 139, then you know something is going on, like, you know, something's wrong, and you want to go back and check which of these steps you did incorrectly, because solving the first letter is the most important steps, because if you mess up the first letter, you're going to mess up the second letter. Or in other words, if you mess up the first answer, you're going to mess up the second answer. So you found one of the two answers. What do you do to find the second answers? Well, you're going to pick the easiest equation, which is the second one, right? You rewrite it. So you have x is equal to 2 times, and then you found the y as 2. So 2 times 2 minus 1. And then from here, 2 times 2 is 4. 4 minus 1 is 3. So you get x is equal to 3. Okay? So that means these two answers, when you combine them, right, you get the order pair 3, 2. And then that's your final answer. And on the quiz or test, to make sure that this is the correct answer, take an extra, 30 seconds. I want you to plug it in, right? Back to the other equation. You have 3 times something plus 2 times something. Does it really give you 13? Well, you found x as 3. You found y as 2. You want to plug it in to see if the left side is equal to the right side. So 3 times 3 is 9. 2 times 2 is 4. Hey, 9 plus 4 does equal to 13. So everything checks out. So that you know that 3, 2 is your final answer. And before I show you the instructions to get to online homework, you notice that on question number 10 on your Pearson's homework, there is a word problem. And to take a look at how do you set up the word problem, click the question help on the top right hand corner, and then after that, view an example. You notice that the example pretty much has the exact same questions, which are in teal, but then the number changes. So that way you could kind of just follow the steps to create the two equations in the systems, and then from there you solve it by substitution. So hopefully that helps, and now here's the instructions of how to get to the online homework. Thank you. Hey everyone, so to get to your homework, first you go to my CNUSD website, and then you click on the top of the page, my CNUSD, to log in. Well, you're going to type in your username and your password. Well, in this case, your student ID and your password. Then you go on to resource. I think for you guys it's resource. And then you go to a place called Pearson Savas Easy. Pearson Savas Easy. I'm not quite sure how you say that word, but it's Pearson Easy. Click on that. And you get to this pop-up page. And you're going to click on your class textbook. So you click on this right here. This is called Envision Integrated Mathematics 1 2009 Common Core. You click on that, a new window pop up again, and you see 3 different colors. The green color is your online textbooks. I teach from this textbooks. So if you don't have a copy, an actual copy, you could always go to here and click on the appropriate sections that we're teaching. But to find your online homework, you look at the reddish, orangish box in between, in the middle. It's called classes. So you're gonna click on here, click on classes, and depending on which period you're in, there will be new assignments here. So you're going to click on the click into the assignments, and then do your homework, and then that's it. Well, inside the homework, there are problems for you to work on, which allow you 3 attempts before they give you the final answer. So for example, for this problem, if you accidentally got a wrong answer, it'll tell you keep trying. Then you type in another answer, and if it's wrong, then it'll give you one more chance. And the third time that you got it wrong, it'll tell you the answer right away. So, but you could always get help by viewing an example on this part of the feature. So it'll tell you what to do step by step, step by step, step by step until the final answer. So you could always refer to the question, help view an example, or you could use help me to solve this to actually work it step by step. So there will be more answer boxes for you to fill in, but at least it will help you on your learning. Now, for this problem, what do you do when you get it wrong, right? So to get a point or to get scores on that homework, then you click on similar questions and you keep practicing until you get it right. So if I were to click on similar questions, you notice that the questions changed. It's different from the previous one. So let's say this time you got it right. Let's say x is equal to 5, right? Well, if you got it right, it will tell you well done, okay, and then you move on to the next problem. So you click on next to move on to the next problem, like this. And once you finish all the problem, I believe the next thing is for you to make sure that you answer all the questions. If there's anything that is not answered, make sure that you go back and look at it like this, right? So this is not answered. But let's say assume that if you finish your all of the questions on your homework, then you go to the bottom, I believe. Oh, actually, this button right here says submit my work. So you click on it and then boom, I only got 3% just because I only answered one question correct, the rest I did not answer. So in order for you to get at least 80% or any good scores, make sure that you answer every single question and it's correct, not incorrect, for you to get as many points as possible on your homework. If you have any questions, please contact me.